On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, no Val Nichuskin, no Jonathan Drouin. You have an AHLer on your second line. You have an AHL goalie getting his first start ever. You still cannot lose to the Chicago Blackhawks. Just not what you want. But we got to talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you subscribe to our subtext. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. Yeah, join that so you can sound off after games like this one, sir, that the Avalanche dropped 3-1 to the Chicago Blackhawks. And I'm just going to turn it over to you for kind of like the opening comments and then kind of go from there, because I'm sure we both have a lot to say about this game.
This is, when the Avalanche win or lose, and we have our little things, we like to sit and gripe and complain and say, hey, this isn't working. Hey, they won. Hey, this isn't working, but they'll get it right. This is the example of going on the road, just not being 100% fired up for the game, and those little things coming to be prominent, like power plays and face-offs and just like clutch moments. Hey, Mikko's point streak ended tonight. It didn't have to. You played Chicago. Nathan MacKinnon, he went down. Thankfully, it's nothing. But he had a couple wide open looks that he passed out of, didn't take, didn't see that quote unquote air quotes for everybody that's listening. I'm doing the fingers in the air. I didn't see that dog in him. Very just inept, vapid effort. And Mrazek looked great. And when you have a great game against the Colorado Avalanche, they'll sign you in 2 years. So congratulations, Mrazek. You're on the list.
Yeah. I mean, you say like all these like little things that they were not doing. And yeah, it seemed like they were off on like execution here and there. They made mistakes. No doubt about it. They made mistakes. You see, like I have it up in the bullet point, you have 36 shots on goal. That's good.
Yeah.
But even with all of those little things that, like, even if you are making mistakes, or even if you are, not, your passing isn't all there, you should still be able to overcome anything if it's the Chicago Blackhawks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, Chicago Blackhawks fans, if you're listening to this, like, hey, you won the game, good for you. And the Blackhawks are going to win games here and there. They are, statistically, I'm pretty sure the worst team in the league right now, record-wise, I should say. But they are still going to win a few games here and there. And the way the Avalanche have been playing, it shouldn't have been this game. Like, if it's early in the season and you're still kind of getting your footing and things like that, and we know where these two teams probably are going to wind up by the end of the season, which is trending in that direction, you can forgive that early in the season loss to a team like Chicago or, just one of the bottom teams in the league. At this stage, and I know hockey is the game where we love to tout its parity, but there's some teams that don't fall into that category. And the way that Chicago is right now, they're not in that category. I'm sorry. Like, this is a game that's just an inexcusable loss. You can say, like, there's some things that, like I said, the 36 shots on goal are good in that you were getting looks. Fine. Like, all of the other stuff I just said about Chicago, I think the one thing that you can exclude from that is how Peter Mrazek played. He was great. Mm-hmm. He was great. Everything other than that, Chicago only had 20 shots on goal. Like, they didn't do this is how they've been all year. Like they're not doing anything to impress you immensely. We'll get to Bedard, obviously.
No,
if you
God.
again, if you're watching on YouTube, we will get to that. But
Yeah.
like they're not there. They're not
No.
a team that should be competing with a team like the Avalanche and how the Avs have been playing recently. You mentioned the Mikko point streak is dead. The team point streak is gone. Like, you know, this is your first outright loss in a while. I think if you're looking at this on the schedule and you're saying, oh, Mikko's going into this game with a 14-game point streak, well, let's just make it 15 before the puck even drops. It's a frustrating loss for me.
And you know what really, really stings about this, and like hearing you talk about it, like if you go back and look at yesterday's episode, we're talking potential, like when we talked with Armando with Locked On Panthers, we're talking potential Stanley Cup matchup. How the Avalanche looked against the Florida Panthers. They looked great. They look good. That's what you want to start seeing. This is one of those games that you just kind of like fold your arms and you like look at the team. This isn't doom and gloom. This isn't like an evidence of things to come and the true DNA of the team. And I told you so. No, this is like really, this is the best you could do. Like,
yeah,
it's frustrating because we talk about it all the time. This team could step up and beat those teams they probably shouldn't and hold their own. But when it comes to inferior teams, the Avalanche love to take an additional game off and play down to those teams. And we talk about it all the time. If you have the Colorado Avalanche coming into your building, you're going to get the best out of whoever it is, from Chicago to San Jose, from Columbus. If you get to beat the Avalanche, that's something you can put up in the locker room and say, hey, we can do it. Colorado needs to just take care of just the normal games, like the games you should win. Just do it. Every game doesn't have to be this huge monumental epic of 6-7 goals. Like you scored 7 on the Panthers in your first matchup. You beat them 3-1 soundly. Like those are great wins, but you should have the expected wins easily in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, you said, you know, a lot of teams are going to go in and give the Avalanche their best effort, and I think that was it from Chicago. Yeah, and you should be able to withstand that and overcome that. But and again, losses are going to happen for the Avalanche. Wins are going to happen for the Blackhawks. Those two things should not, at this point in the season, should not be happening in tandem. I'm sorry. I feel like the way that the Avs are playing, they should have been able to. I get it. Like you got to find a way to get pucks in net. Easier said than done. But on the power play, it looked atrocious.
Yeah.
I just came out of an episode saying like, hey, it looked pretty good. I know you didn't get any against the Panthers, but at least you got some nice zone entries. At least you got shots on goal, multiple shots on goal for most of those power plays. And then, you know, you just fast forward a couple days to this game, and you almost gave up a shorthanded goal, which the entire arena thought it was a goal, including I thought that went in too. That could have just buried them even further. I mean, it hit the post or hit the crossbar, did not go in, but that was just a terrible play by Casey Middlestat. I don't know. I mean, he just kind of left the puck there. I know you do the drop back pass all the time, but it wasn't dropped back far enough. He just kind of left it there when there's a defender that's 2 feet away from him. So you got to know if you're just going to leave that puck there and you're going to continue to skate, you just have to. The mental game was a little bit of a struggle for some guys. And the first goal that they got, talking about Chicago, was the turnover by Sam Girard. And I think that was number one. I don't know why he was passing the puck there. You're kind of passing the puck. Your intention was to pass the puck to whoever it was, kind of right in front of your goal. That's a dangerous pass to begin with.
Yeah.
But it was a nice defensive play by Bedard. It was. He intercepted it, and there's your first goal of the game. So mistakes were on display for the Avs, and incredibly, the Blackhawks made you pay for them. Like, I'm expecting a team like the Panthers to make you pay for it, or Vegas to make you pay for it. But the fact that the Blackhawks did, and then the Avs couldn't recover from it, is to me, that's a little bit scratching your head as to why did that happen tonight. I don't have the quite answer right now.
And the mistakes, I'll give you that all day long, but there is no reason this Colorado Avalanche team, top to bottom, with this roster, that there are nights that we have problems talking about everybody's accolades and their performances every night in, night out. There should be no reason you walk out of Chicago and the only guy who got a goal was Parson.
Yeah.
Like there's no excuse
Right.
for that with how deep this roster is. Like, just half effort, you're getting Mikko extending that point streak. Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, they have the ability to flip that switch and turn it on when they need to. Ross Colton, same. He could do the same. Like, you can't walk out of there and Parson and be unassisted with his backhand goal. Like, that's inexcusable. You've got to do a little bit better.
I mean, when you put it that way, you had one goal, and that was the only point. Like,
Unassisted,
no assist coming on that goal from him. So it's a tough pill to swallow. Like, I can accept losses. You got to accept this one. It's a loss.
I accept
Chicago
the
beat
loss,
you.
not the effort.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. Like, I don't always buy into the effort thing because the way the Avalanche play, I feel like the effort is always there. It's there's effort and there's execution. I think that's where it was faltering tonight, was the execution. I will never say the Avalanche are not putting in the effort. Very, very seldom do they. I feel like they're not actually putting in the effort. It's how they're executing that sometimes just it's not there. And I think that's true for all teams. And again, I just go back to, it can't be against this team. It cannot be against a team like the Blackhawks. If there's you have better teams that force you into mistakes, and then you have to adjust to those reasons why they're causing you to make those mistakes. That's what you do during the course of the game. This was just self-inflicted wounds. This was just terrible turnovers. It was just one of those games that is going to happen. I can't accept the fact that it happened against the Blackhawks.
And the team plays two different ways when they go into a game knowing we have to beat insert team name here, or we can beat insert name here. We can beat the Blackhawks. If you have that mentality going in, you lack that hunger. When you have that we got to beat whoever it is, you see them making those comebacks, those incredible come from behind. We've seen slow firsts, and they work their way out in the second and third. They led with a good first, and that was it. You never had that, hey, we can't do this. Nobody said, hey, we can't lose to Chicago, and they didn't turn it on, go 200 feet, a nifty little deke, and put the game away. Nobody rose to the occasion in this one, and it was just get through, get healthy. We got a game tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think they were trying, and I don't think we're giving Peter Mrazek enough credit in this segment. I think we should, because, like I said, you got a ton of shots directed towards him.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the stuff outside of that. It seemed like, to get into the zone was a struggle, but once you did, you saw moments of the Avalanche just cycling and just, okay, this team cannot hang with you. That top line was just doing what they wanted to do effortlessly every once in a while. And they had some shots on goal that were just like, how is this puck not going in the net? Again, you have moments like that. And then what happened? There was a moment where the Avs had the puck in the zone and they were just doing whatever they wanted on there was a top line, which you expect that from that line. And they didn't get a goal, and Chicago goes the other way, juicy rebound for a goal. And it's like, we got to work our tails off to even get, multiple shots on net, but can't put it in the net. And they go the other way and shot, rebound, goal. And so it was that kind of night as well. So more we got to talk about in this game, including Trent Miner getting his first start in net. And of course, Connor Bedard.
God, please.
Yes, we're going to do it right after this. All right, let's hear from Game Time. We love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. I think we had some good favorite memories from attending a show last year. I remember one that you did last year, sir. You went to see one Mr. Chevy Chase.
I did.
Last year.
Watch National Lampoons with him.
It was one of those meet and greet things and or question and answer thing. You watch the movie and he's there and he answers questions.
Fantastic
That's
experience.
fantastic. Wonderful. That's wonderful. And I believe you got those tickets over on Game Time. Did you not?
I did.
Absolutely. And Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with the new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And recently, I was looking for tickets and purchased tickets for the upcoming Rangers Avalanche game in a couple weeks here. These Game Time Picks. With that, we found amazing deals. I could even see the view from our seats before buying. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today, because what time is it, Mr. Sullivan?
It's game time.
Very Superman doing that.
That was my Power Rangers.
Was that what it was? Okay, I knew it was something. Yeah.
I trained my whole life for that moment.
All right, let's keep talking about this game here. We touched on the first segment about, like, you know, your top guys, how they had moments of looking really good and having, you know, a couple shifts. You're going to get that from those guys. It's just the talent will rise up. But as the game went on, it just seemed like Nathan MacKinnon was just like fighting the ice.
Yeah.
He had that one. He was hitting the corner and he was laying on the ice for a couple seconds, and I think everybody in Avalanche land held their collective breath, and he labored to get to the bench, and he did come back out. Whenever there's an injury or the look of an injury for an Avalanche player, I'm holding my breath right away, but I'm still holding my breath because we say it all the time, don't we? Like, how's he feeling in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
After he goes to bed and it's you know, doing its thing, and maybe it's not healing the way it's supposed to heal, even though it was just a little like ankle twist or something like that. Is this going to be another one where we wake up in the morning and it's like, we're not sure if Nathan MacKinnon's feeling 100%?
And he doesn't have a day to rest either. Like,
no.
It's that really weighs on, and it's a bigger matchup too. So
yeah,
that really weighs on that.
But he's one of those guys that's always going to give you 110%. But there were moments for him that I'm sure he'd like to have back. He had a couple just really bad passes that just got intercepted, went the other way. He surprisingly, again, against his team, just seemed to struggle a little bit. I'm sure he had multiple shots on goal, at least what I saw. Let me see.
And there was that one that I know
only two. That's
and
crazy.
This came after he went down, came back. Mrazek was facing away, and the pass kind of dribbled out to Nathan MacKinnon all by himself.
Oh, yeah.
There were 3 or 4 Blackhawks standing right there. One slap shot, we'd have a different tone of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided to defer, and I believe that went to Lehkonen, but he just passed it away, and I'm just like, it's right there.
Yeah,
just take a shot, like just a little. I don't know if it's one of those second guessing yourself, or you really wanted to open it up, or you're playing chess while the Blackhawks are playing checkers, and you wanted to pass and expect Mrazek to come back over, and you're going to get it even more open. I don't know, but I was just like, buddy, what are you doing?
Yeah. There was another play where the ref blew the whistle. He blew the play dead, and the puck was still the angle he had. And refs do that sometimes. If they can't see the puck and they assume that the goalie has it covered, they will blow it, the play dead. He shouldn't have.
Middle set's feet.
He shouldn't have. And that was kind of trickling out around where MacKinnon was. I'm not saying he would have, got a goal on that, but puck was still in play, and it was right around him, so he could have done something with it. But
do you think a lot of that execution had to do with the way that top line was playing? It felt like a power play just because of them being able to do whatever, and they freaked themselves out because they can't do anything on the power play.
Maybe there's some frustration. I mean, when you're playing like that, when you have offensive possessions, when you're just tiring out the opposition, tiring them out in defense, and just really just cycling and just in that zone. When you have those possessions and nothing comes of it, sure, there's frustration there. There's got to be. And then when it turns around and they go score on just a meaningless shot that they get a rebound on, the frustration maybe amps up even more. But now you're down. And I think in the game of hockey, when you're down and time is trickling down, you're pressing a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be doing that. So, but I thought as throughout the game, there were moments where the Blackhawks made it difficult for them. You know, like I thought the Blackhawks did a really good job in the neutral zone, kind of clogging up the neutral zone as best they could, and not really letting the Avs, as soon as they gain the offensive zone, not just taking away time and space for that. So I thought Blackhawks defensively did pretty good, including Mrazek, obviously. But again,
their passing was better too. They had a good awareness for when like Manson would cheat or Taves would cheat defensively. They always would find their open guy. And I thought their passing was a little bit better and a little bit more crisp than what Colorado was doing. So I'll tip the hat to Chicago in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. You had Trent Miner starting his first game, gives up the 3 goals. But it's weird, man. Like you just watch Mackenzie Blackwood for a month with this team, and you can see the difference, right?
Yeah.
You can see the difference. And hey, he stuck it out. Like I think that the Avalanche did the best they could defensively in front of him. I thought they did actually, you know, aside from like the mistakes that we're talking about, like the turnovers and things like that. When it was Chicago going from defense to offense, needing to set up in their offensive zone, I thought the Avalanche did fine. But they only allowed 20 shots on goal. That's exactly what you need to do when you have someone this green in net. And you know, if this was flipped, if this is where Chicago had 35, 36 shots on goal, maybe you're looking at a little bit more than 3 goals, but they kept the shots on goal to a minimum. I'll look at how many high danger shots against him he had, but you know, for what they were asking him to do, I don't hate his play, but you know, you can tell he's still got a long way to go.
Yeah, I didn't hate Miner's game. I thought he played okay. A lot of those goals he let in were green goals. They were straight on goals, and like his rebounds were a little juicy for my liking. But again, it reeks of first NHL game. Like it feels it. You could definitely feel it, and you could see like in those straight on looks that he's playing it between his ears instead of on the ice, and that'll get ironed out over time. Like I was not disappointed or throwing out the Miner thing. I think he's got promise. We'll just have to see a little bit more, but
yeah,
just keep in mind he's about as green as you get. So we'll see how it goes.
They had 2 high danger shot attempts against him, which is that's okay. I can live with that.
Yeah.
Just looking at Mrazek, he had 3 against him, 7 medium danger shots against him. And I thought for Miner, like the big thing for him was like I was looking at like what are those first couple shots on goal going to be against him, and they were kind of, you know, he could see it clearly right into his chest, so he didn't have to go make a sprawling save or anything like that. And I thought that's the best thing for him because it just calms him down, gets him into the game.
Yeah.
And I thought overall, he gave you an opportunity. He didn't lose you this game. No, I don't feel like he lost you the game. I think what lost you the game was just terrible mistakes by your positional players in this game.
Yep.
So I don't know. Like I know the Wedgwood is week to week, so I don't know an update on that. It's possible he gets another start. I don't know. It's possible. I don't know, but I think we're all in agreement that Blackwood's got to take the lion's share of these games until Wedgwood comes back. But I think the way that he played, if they need to turn to him just to give Blackwood a rest, I think maybe they're a little bit comfortable doing it, depending on the opponent.
Yeah, and I think this gives us all a rejuvenated, refreshed appreciation for what Mackenzie Blackwood means to this team.
And Scott Wedgwood.
Oh, yeah, and Wedgie.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's get our last break in, and we'll mention some Bedard talk. It was Kyle's favorite. Get to our subtext people, and, of course, our sound check. We'll do all that next. All right, let's hear from FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, and right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets Win or lose, the FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. So visit the website right now. That's FanDuel.com and get started with $200 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with a Denver Broncos win and FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, whenever you are playing Chicago Blackhawks now for the next 20 years, and you have the added bonus of this being on national television, is going to be Bedard overload. It's just the way that it is. And you got that from the TNT crew tonight. We're not going to belabor this because, but I just had to bring it up because I knew it was going to make Kyle so excited. But the overturned goal, that was hilarious to me because you can see he kicked it in. Like, did he intend to? I don't think he did. I don't think he intended to, but he did. It's a kicking motion, and he didn't get all of it. It did kind of, it grazed off his skate a little bit, but it was a kicking motion, and it went in. And the lengths Darren Pang was bending over backwards to say
Nick Foligno.
That it was not a kicking motion was hysterical to me. It's like they wanted so bad for Connor Bedard to score, so they could just, for some reason, that it's important that he scored on TNT. Nobody really cares what network he's on when he scores, but for some reason they do.
They have 40% of show prep on Connor Bedard, and if he scores, so they didn't want to throw that in the trash.
You heard about his 8-game point streak before you heard about Mikko Rantanen's 14-game point streak. You did.
Did they learn nothing from the Winter Classic? Do we not know we're done with this story?
This is where we differ. Like, I'm fine with him. Like, I root for the kid, and because like is the future of the sport, and I want the sport to succeed. And the young crowd, the young generation, love him.
He has a future in the league. He's got to do a little bit more stepping up.
Yeah,
he has a future. To be the future, you have to have, like, if you're going to be compared to Gretzky, you got to come in with Gretzky type numbers. Like, you got to start showing up. I've heard more excuses why he hasn't than why he has. So, but he has the future, but I wouldn't call him the future yet.
Well, some of the excuses are legit. Like, it's not all his fault. The front office in Chicago's got to put a team around him. Like, he cannot be this Gretzky player and have the team around him that he does. It's just impossible.
But Washington wasn't Washington when Ovi got there. Pittsburgh wasn't Pittsburgh. No. Like, he had to take that from Lemieux.
Exactly. I mean, if you're going to be
that path, you gotta start using your talent to start demanding that.
Yeah.
And not excusing your way out of it.
I mean, if you're the number 1 overall pick, you're going to a bad team. It's the way the draft works. So it's going to take time to get to where you want to go. But we're just throwing him into the fire right now and just wanting him to be that guy. And he's not. He will get there. Like, you can see the talent. That shot, the goal that he did score was, that was a rifle. He's impressive. But the love affair with budding superstars is kind of an overload. And that's really with all sports. It's not just exclusive to hockey. So, but I thought it was funny just how they wanted that goal to stand so bad and it didn't. And you could see it was totally a kick. All right. Some people over on Subtext chiming in on this game. Katie, I knew for a fact that they would play down to their opponent, so I didn't bother watching. No thoughts. Katie, you've got to watch the games. Come on now. But I don't feel like they played down to the opponent. I feel like they, like I said earlier, it was all just self-inflicted wounds for themselves. Like, they were screwing up. It wasn't that Chicago was forcing them into mistakes. The Avalanche were doing it to themselves. So because of that, I just have a hard time saying, like, oh, they played down to the level of Chicago.
I think, to Katie's point, I think we're going to forget this game even existed one period into the Minnesota game tonight.
You think we're gonna forget that it does?
Like it even happened. Like this has no bearing on the season. Nothing happened. Like this was a nothing game, a rice cake.
Kay says, I realize they're all professionals, but there's something so frustrating about losing to the bottom dwelling teams. 30, she says 37, but I have 36. Maybe they added one. I don't know. 37 shots on goal.
Give it to Bedard. Why not?
Yeah, sure. It's hideously apparent every time he's out how much we need Nichuskin.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, shake it off and take it out on Minnesota is what she says. And that's the good thing about this. That's the good thing about a back-to-back is you don't have to wait long to get back out there and kind of avenge this loss. So
it's not like you emptied the tank against Chicago. You got gas in the tank.
Yeah. And the other thing is when you're starting a goalie like Miner, you always have in the back of your head, and it's the first game of a back-to-back. It's like, man, if this goes south, you got to bring in Blackwood, and he's going to have to play again tomorrow. So I give kudos to Miner for giving Blackwood the full day rest. So good job for that, Trent Miner. Joe says, I'd be lying if I said I didn't expect that half speed warm up for the game that really matters tomorrow. So with that, tomorrow by Silverchair for the sound check.
Ooh.
One of the most underrated.
Yep.
Grunge albums of the 90s.
God, Silverchair, so good.
And the subsequent albums are fantastic too. But that Frog Stomp album is wonderful. It's not what Lisa said. Lisa says one word, awful. It's the opposite of wonderful in a Silverchair album. But she's not talking about Silverchair.
She's not talking about
Silverchair. Craig says not a good game, but I'll take the loss as long as MacKinnon is okay. I was really worried about him that time he went down, and his sound check is Chicago Damn by Bobby Humphrey.
Ooh.
Do I know that one? I don't know the one by title. I have to go look at that one.
Bobby Humphrey. I think I know. There is a Bobby Humphrey that's Alabama. He used to coach their arena football team. Yeah. But it's not the same guy.
Okay. And then Vargar says it's expected that a goalie who's an AHLer with limited NHL experience would give up 3 or even 4 goals. But it's unforgivable that an Avs team with the star power they possess to score just 1 goal against a bottom feeding team like the Hawks. Pretty much what we've been saying, Vargar. And I am in agreement with you, man. Yeah, it's a tough loss to swallow, but you got to. What are you going to do?
We'll forget about this game. Don't worry.
Well, there's one thing we got to do before you can forget about it, and that's our sound checks. So Kyle and I pick a song each that summarizes the most recent game and put these songs up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can search and follow along with. Just search for LOA Sound Check Volume number 4. So what do you got?
Chris, my friend, where was this game located?
Chicago, Illinois.
What incredibly famous all-time movie for me was set in Chicago? They wear sunglasses and suits.
Oh, well, I was going to say Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
No.
Okay.
No. That's for children. This is
that movie is legendary. But go ahead. A
song performed by the Blues Brothers.
Okay. So you went further back.
It's one of my Blues Brothers. The first one is one of my. It's an all-timer. Yeah. On their self-titled album, Blues Brothers, they have a song called "I Don't Know." And honestly, you ask me tomorrow how to summarize this Chicago game, and I'll tell you I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole song, like I have this album. It's a great album.
Yeah.
It talks about just occurrences in life and just not knowing. This was one of those. This was just like there was so many things you could have done, and you just didn't. And the mistakes made it worse. And you just walk away like, I don't know.
It's a good way to put it. I mean, because you really, it's not like you feel like the Avalanche, hey, they lost this game. Oh no, the season is in jeopardy.
No,
and again, you're going to have losses like this. You don't want them, but you're going to lose to teams you shouldn't be losing to. It's a long season, so it's going to happen. And maybe that's the best way to summarize it is just, I don't know, just wasn't their day.
Yep.
Because you expect them to bounce back and do the complete opposite of what they did tonight against Chicago, against Minnesota. And that's so, yeah, maybe you just look at it as just don't know. I can't
No,
explain
I'm
it.
telling you, you ask me a month from now about the Chicago game, I will not remember a thing about it. It's already escaping my brain now.
Yeah. And I think that's they'll think of it that way too. Just like
Yeah.
it was a blip on the radar. Let's not dwell too much on it. But for me, I'm gonna go with one of the best albums, actually EP last year, from Chelsea Wolfe, who just a phenomenal artist. And she's got a song on that EP called The House. Actually, I think that's the full album. She came out with an album and an EP. I think this is on the album, called The House of Self Undoing.
Ooh.
There you go. Because
Incredible.
that's basically what we've been saying this entire episode is
Yeah.
the Avalanche just completely we're screwing themselves over. Why is my screen so like
You're a ghost, you're an apparition.
I'm like fading away. I do the thumbs up thing and get the
Yeah. Okay,
I don't have it. You have it.
I turned it off.
Oh, you turned it off. Armando had it though. Did you see?
Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah, that's what I'm going with because this was just a game of self-undoing for the Avalanche, and it was just you eliminate those mistakes, you eliminate those turnovers, and you should be beating the Chicago Blackhawks 9 times out of 10. This was the one time that they got you.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just upset.
Yeah. So all right. We'll be back tomorrow because we got another game to talk about, and it's a big one. So maybe there's a blessing in disguise that the Avalanche lost this because they'll be out there knowing that, okay, we cannot lose back to back. We cannot lose against a team that's ahead of us in the standings. So,
and maybe Jonathan Drouin doesn't have a UBI tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see about that too. So, all right, it's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. You made it through another 24 hours, people, where Sidney Crosby is that much closer to becoming a Colorado Avalanche. They could have used him tonight.
He's better than Bedard.
Oh.